how did the CFI Installer of the Year competition come about again?
Well, they had done it, like, I think the last time they did it was, what, Alan, like 20 years ago or something, right?
It was 16 years ago.
Yeah, you know what? I think you might know more about this part than I would, being with your dad was so involved.
Whenever we got involved with it, they had regional competitions before you went to the nationals in Las Vegas, which is that Surfaces event. The regionals would you went, and I think they selected, or you submitted or applied to compete in the regional competition. I think they took 10, and the best one out of that went on to the nationals. And they took 10 carpet installers. They didn't have the old others had this year. And we actually competed in those regionals. My daddy, he won one of the regionals and went on to the nationals, and that was the last year that they had it. I competed in the regionals in the carpet division, and it's just the first year I didn't do anything, and I think I finished third the second time, which was the same time my dad had won the carpet competition or the regional competition. Then it went on a hiatus for 16 years, and now they bring it back because of the lack of skilled people, or the lack of labor in a skilled trade. As I feel like that's the reason why they're bringing it back, to pull those people back to, hey, this is a craft. This is on display right here, and all you have to do is come and look at it.
Okay, so now it's back. It's been announced. You guys have heard about it. What inspired each of you to get involved with it and actually want to enter a project?
I just like seeing my name in print.
I heard that.
Okay, well, we've got somebody that's conceited, and then we have Alan over here. So,
no. I guess this is funny to me, because Ken was talking about earlier how his sales rep Shannon is plugged into the industry, and she made that happen or the CTI happen for them there. My actual project that I submitted, it's actually for my in-laws. They built them a new house, and I tiled about 3,000 square feet of plank, and it's over the top of Detra, saw joints, and all kinds of different foundational things going on with it that you really have to address. And I called Shannon because she's on those pages and she's giving out advice, and she's the Sluder girl. And, I reached out to her in Messenger, and it was probably 5 minutes later, she's ringing me back, and, hey, let's talk about this, and this is what you're doing. And, making sure you got good coverage, making sure you're doing everything by the book. And that's basically the reason why I submitted my project, because I kind of pushed the envelope on cutting out, my feature in that house was a star in the foyer. They had a cedar barrel, cedar stained or cedar ceiling, a barrel ceiling in the foyer, and I wanted to make it a little nicer. So I say, hey, let's see if we can't make one of those 3D looking stars. And they brought, I helped them pick out a little tile, and they bought some 12 by 24s, and we kind of shaped it up and cut it out and inserted it into the floor. And that was about the hardest thing that I've ever had to do, was to cut that thing out and sand it back or polish it back to real sharp points and make everything geometrically look pleasing to the eye. And they had the curbless shower, they had pebbles on the floor, they had wainscoting on the walls, and tubs around to the ceiling. And it was all bigger tiles as far as 12 by 24s. It was big then, but now they're gigantic tiles. But and there's a lot of square foot of area with a lot of sunlight. It was my first time doing brick pavers out on a porch, and they wanted just regular brick pavers on a running bond. And so I said, no, let's do a pinwheel, just kind of trying to push the envelope even further. And so I was out there a lot of days cutting bricks in half, making the center dot for the pavers. It's the first time I've ever done the sand strata method. It's actually just a sand shaped into the pitch in 3 or 4 different ways on the porch, so the porch would run water off of it. And it's not bonded to the porch at all. It's just contained damp sand, and the brick paver is set on top of that. and locked in with a type of grout or whatever for the sand to go in between the bricks. And that was a hard thing to do for me because it was that method, and you have to achieve a pattern balance on about a 60-foot wide porch, with focal points and multiple entrances. And that's really why I submitted my pictures or in my description of my job because that was probably foundationally the hardest job I've ever done.
That sounds
And
amazing. So Ken, besides seeing your name in print, and I know you're definitely not a conceited guy.
that's right.
What really got you to want to submit this curved shower that you put into it?
You know what? I'm really well. The project itself was fairly small. It was just a 3x5 shower, but it was, the technique of, it happened to be my first curbless shower that I was installing. It was the first time I was doing a herringbone with this size tile, and they were like 2x16s. They weren't the easiest to work with. But what I actually ended up doing was doing a template on the floor like they do for countertops. And I templated the whole floor. I brought it back to my garage, and I set all the tiles down on the floor, and I made all my cuts in my garage, and I brought everything back to the job site and set the whole floor in about an hour and a half. But it was, a technique that I had picked up from, another one of our Facebook groups. And a good buddy of mine, Jason McDaniel, who does a lot of templating. I kind of, picked his brain about it and picked up a few things here and there. And then I decided to try it out for my own. And, it worked out great. I mean, it was a different way of doing things, but in hindsight, it was definitely an easier way. And it's opened up a whole world of different sort of possibilities with using that technique on different kinds of tile. So, I mean, like I said, the project wasn't necessarily, it wasn't a big project. It was just a small bathroom, but it was just, how I went about it, how I, used these different techniques and, what I was trying to accomplish. And, at the end of the day, it comes down to the customer being thrilled and you being happy with your project and, putting a positive, spin on a difficult situation.
You guys have both submitted your pictures to CFI. Where does it go from here?
Well, I mean, they sorted through all the entries and picked, I guess their favorites and everything like that. And then, they let us all know that we had passed the selection process and they were bringing us to Vegas to compete in the competition.
We've been selected. Now, are they footing the bill to get you there?
No, they covered the flight and the hotel, so we just had to, get ourselves there, and they were footing the bill for us.
You guys have arrived in Vegas. Take me through it. Obviously you're going to arrive early. You're not going to show up the day of the competition. So what are the different aspects that are involved in this competition, and how did you progress through your couple of days there?
Well, I mean, I got in maybe, I think, Monday night and met up with some other members of CFI and, kind of got settled. And then the next day we had to register, and then there was a written test that we all had to take. So we all got in, took the written test, and then we're kind of, free to roam about until the next day when we started the competition.
Tell me about the test. Is this test the same test that they gave you when you took your initial certification classes? Is this something that's on a higher level because now you are trying to compete at a higher level? What did this cover, and how did you know what to study to prepare for it?
Well, I mean, we didn't know what to study per se. It was really, I guess it was maybe expected knowledge, like an overall review of, tile installations and terminology and stuff like that. But it wasn't like,
it more or less
wasn't like a certification test. Yeah. I'd agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, we both, me and Ken have done the CTI, so it was a lot like that. CFI also has a ceramic certification, and it's just pretty much industry standards and product application questions. I think it was 100 questions, 96, something like that.
So you get in, you're able to kind of hang out the first day. You go and you check in, you take this test. Next day, you said you were showing up, and they explain the rules. So what are these rules that we're having to follow?
Well, I mean, it was really just what they wanted us to execute, what we were installing, and how they wanted it, laid out and stuff. It was really, we received the work order with a diagram of what we needed to do, and we kind of just, went off and started and tried to do it as best you could, as you'd normally execute an installation.
Yeah, just what you do every day.
Okay. So are you expected to complete the work order? Is that part of it, or does it come down more to how well do you follow, manufacturer specifications and, industry standards and get, tile flat and bonded correctly and there's no hollow spots and you've got your, cement board or your deacher down, whatever it is that you're using, where's
definitely...
I was just, what are the criteria? So that's what I'm looking for, I guess.
Well, I mean, it was definitely, quality over quantity. They had told us you needed to make sure that you were doing it correctly. And, if somebody just finishing it wasn't good enough, they needed to, make sure they were using proper techniques and getting proper coverage and that, using your layouts correctly and stuff.
It goes back to a lot of the workshops that we've been to already. You go and learn or the manufacturer workshops and the certifications. You go and learn, hey, this is Dural. This has got to be screwed down like this. You have to put thin set under your Dural. You have to have expansion. Those same rules apply at that competition, and if you don't follow the rules, you're docked on points for every rule you don't follow. Damp sponging, the waterproofing on the walls, the application of the tray, all of those things are graded as you're installing that module. It was a lot of work just for the 2 days. It was basically doing a small bathroom or a bathroom. It was an 8x8 module. You had to really, you had to back butter, you had to follow the diagram, you had to use the tile that they provided, and you didn't know any of this stuff going into the competition whatsoever. You just, hey, it's just like you go into a shop or something. Hey, this is your work order for today. Go do it. Okay. It's just kind of surprise.
Yeah, those are never fun days. I personally, I don't work for shops because of that. I like getting to know my clients and showing up and knowing exactly what I'm getting myself into. It really is nerve-wracking showing up having no idea what's going on. So that being said, you guys have these work orders, you're off and running, but you're on this stage. There's people constantly over your shoulder and watching. There's people that can come in and view. And we all know what it's like to have that client that stands over your shoulder and wants to watch you all day. So how do you get through this? How do you proceed? What's that situation like for you?
I didn't really think it was, that different than what I usually go through. I just kind of get into the zone and, people come up and talk to you and say hi, and you just, greet them as you normally would any customer. That sort of stuff doesn't really rattle me too much. I mean, it's kind of in the back of your head, but I don't really think it's too. I don't think it had too much of an effect overall.
Okay.
The only thing that I thought was a difficult part for me is all these people that are there at this International Surfaces show. They know what you're supposed to be doing for the most part. They're coming by and they're seeing you work, and they're saying, you can hear them back there in the back. Maybe he should have done this. It kind of makes you want to second guess yourself, but you got to think to yourself, hey, this is what I know how to do, and I'm going to do it just like this. And, if I don't complete it, if I don't get the 100% of the points for it, I'm going to know, and I'm going to do it better next time and grow as an installer from this.
Okay. So, what about with friends coming through, things like that? How, obviously you have a job to do. So what was it like trying to keep your focus and not get distracted and want to enjoy yourself? Because you're at this services event. There's a lot going on. There's all the vendors. There's things to see, to learn about, meet. Just there's so much going on. How'd you keep your focus on your project and make sure that you weren't getting distracted and you were going to accomplish what you needed to do?
I just turn up the music and go to town, do my thing, tune everybody out, and just like every other day.
Yeah, I just go and work. I don't really socialize too terribly much, so I just, I'm just like if I'd go out of town and work, I'm there to accomplish this task, and I knew I had, one day at the end of the competition that I could go and see, and you kind of have that planned out. I go and I work on my module the best that I can work on it, and then at the end of the day, I go and get me some rest, and I come back to work tomorrow. It's a 2-day project for me, and that's what I was there to do.
Okay, so just like any other day, you're just going to put your nose down and grind away.
Yep.
I got it.
That's
I
me.
like it. That's the dedication that's required here, and that's what got you there in the first place. You guys aren't sitting there lollygagging and goofing around and stuff like that. So, how long did you get the first day? Because I know you got a little bit longer the first day than you did the second day, or was it 2 8-hour days, and the third day you got like a couple hours to tighten it up?
Yeah, it was 8 to 5 the 2 first days, and then they gave us a couple extra hours on the third just to kind of button things up as best we could.
Okay, and then do you know, did that was the same requirement for the carpet, the wood, and the tile all the same?
Yes, the wood guys actually finished theirs the second day. At the end of the second day, they was completed.
Those darn wood guys,
they got it so easy.
Showing off. So what is it that you, what made the work order difficult, or what made it show that you had a good understanding of industry standards and how to go about them? Obviously there's probably a million ways to build a shower. I don't do tile, so I'm not familiar with that area, but there's, I see the pictures all the time. There's the right way, there's the wrong way, there's probably a million ways in between. So what made the work order challenging or able to demonstrate all of the areas that they were looking at?
Well, I mean, personally, I wasn't, I'm not the best with membranes. So the particular system that we were using was using membranes. So that was definitely my weak point. I think I spent the entire first day just trying to put that shower together correctly.
Yeah, I think it's just the hardest part for me was, I don't use foam trays and I don't use Duro. And that, you lose your edge. You lose your edge on that stuff. You have to really think back and say, hey, how do I install this?
Okay. And then, I noticed, there was, it looked like there was a border from the pictures that I saw that you guys have posted. It looked like there was a border around on the floor, and then the tiles were set at a 45, but then you had to insert another tile cut, in half or whatever to fill the blank voids in between. So, is this something that's testing, cutability, or, let's get into that a little bit.
So it tested something, because that was the first time I ever did a border on anything.
It was a 12-inch plank border, or a plank tile. Was a 6 by 24 or something like that. And you had to put a plank, the 12 inches around the perimeter, and then the center was set diagonal. And it made it just small enough for the diagonal to have to clip the corners on the whole tile. So they made every cut very difficult.
So they were planning this out ahead of time to make sure that nothing was going to be easy and it was really going to test your skills.
They definitely had a few tricks up their sleeve for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
I laid my border, and I feel like I almost laid it twice, because you want to go with that industry standard of 33% offset on your planks, but you can't do a 33% offset and have 2/3 of a tile size on your miter, when you're turning the corner. So that threw me for a loop whenever I was trying to get that border established. And I said, man, I had to actually drop it back to a less than 33% offset. So that kind of confused me a little bit, and trying to work around. It's basically L-shaped. So you're always mitering, and the quality of the cut kind of counts. And, you're using stuff you just ain't used to using as far as the saws. And, you don't have your normal polishing pads and things like that where you can really make them nice. And you just kind of you're having to really pay attention to your time and your quality and the crunch of it all.
Now, Ken, you took up your border, did you not?
What's that?
You took up your border, did you not?
Oh yeah, yeah. I said it. I said it at the end of the. Yeah, I said it towards the end, and it was kind of bugging me because at the end of the day, I knew it was a 1/4 inch off, so I ended up tearing up the last part of my border just before the competition was over, and kind of resetting it to get it a little more solid, just because I said at this point I'm definitely not going to finish, but at least I can try and be consistent with what I do on a normal job, and I'd be pulling that tile if that was on a normal job.
There you go.
That's why you're there, though. You're taking that extra time. So, Alan, you mentioned that you're working with tools that aren't yours. Did you didn't have to bring anything with you? They provided everything?
They didn't provide everything. I brought a box, and most of the carpet guys brought a little bit of tools, but they provided the saw, which was the IQ dry saw, and some brake saws and trowels and things like that, just from the sponsors to sponsor the event, which was gracious enough. So you're just not used to using. You're used to using your own tool, even if they have the same stuff. You're just not used to using that one.
It's not. Yeah, no, you're right.
Can kind of agree with you. You know what I mean? It just don't feel right.
I 100% agree. It's not broken in the same. It doesn't have a scratch in that place that it's scratched. You want your stuff that you're comfortable with. It's broken into you.
There you go.
Ken, did that throw you for a little bit of a loop too?
Yeah, man. I mean, it was, but it was interesting to be put in that situation under that kind of pressure, in that circumstance, because it's not something that you're going to go through every day. So, I went into it I was using everything they had there. And it was challenging, but I had a blast. I thought it was great.
Awesome. So, end of day one, end of day two, where are you both at, and how are you feeling going into day three?
Oh, I'm exhausted. I was bruised, battered, and broken. It was, oh God. Like I said, I took that whole first day putting up that first shower, and it was painful. But at the end of the day, it was a good time, and it meant something to be there for that reason at that time. And I think overall it was a good thing.
At the end of my first day, I think I cut the foam tray down 3 times. The tray was actually 4 feet, and they wanted a 4-foot shower to the outside the curb, so you have to cut the tray down. And then I didn't allow for my Durock, so you just have to really, you have to go back and fix the stuff that you didn't quite do right, and to make it all work out. It's just stressful all the way through, because you're really trying to do things right, but you can't slow down. So that's the real challenge of it all. You do this every day. If you had all the time in the world, then you could execute just about anything. But they really put the pressure on you with the amount of work and the level of quality that they wanted.
So where were your mindsets at going into the third day? You're out of time. they're going to start judging, you know? Are you feeling confident? Are you worried that they're just going to tear you apart? Where are you at on that?
So I already saw what Roy what Alan had accomplished that day. So I pretty much knew where I stood.
I just grounded out. I didn't finish my shower stall or anything. I didn't finish my curb. I didn't grout my back wall in my showers. All I did the extra time that they gave us is I went in and grouted my floor. I didn't try to push it any further because I really felt like it was what it was. You know, if I done the best that I could do in that time, and you know, that's all I could do, and I was pretty tired.
Okay, so they start judging them, and are you present when they're judging them? Can you hear what they're nitpicking, talking over, anything like that, or they do that and then you come back a little bit later?
They're judging you through the whole process.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Absolutely.
They're standing over you through the whole process, and they don't say anything. They're like that old teacher in school that just kind of walks up to your desk and writes a little note, says "mm-hmm," and walks off. You know, you don't know what to think.
So now we're done. We're over. They're going through the winners. What was that like, Alan, to walk away with the win? And then Ken, how was that for you? You come out, you take time away from work, you participate, and you don't walk away with the win.
Well, I think the whole, and I've had this conversation with a few people, and they've all asked pretty much the same thing. And I said, it was such an honor to be there, just to be chosen, and to be working alongside these other master craftsmen like I'm one. But no, working alongside these people that I see as so much more impressive than me. And, just to be alongside and compared to them was an honor. I said, I didn't need to win. I just needed to be there. I needed to have that experience so I could appreciate the work that these guys put in day in and day out. And it was just, it's emotional. Like you don't think that something like this can have such a profound effect on you, but, it really... It was really a highlight for me, and the opportunity was not lost on me. I'm thoroughly thankful to everybody involved and everybody that competed, and Alan, and everybody. Man, it was just an overwhelming experience.
It was good for me because I watched my daddy compete in that same environment with the stress that he took, and then I got to come and perform and, establish maybe just for our family that, hey, we're doing things right. And, it feels good to accomplish this task in front of you. It's nothing any harder than being judged by a group of your peers. There's absolutely nothing. And, I commend, Ken exponentially because it takes a lot of guts to get up there, and it takes it's just the thing with me is, it's for the industry. We're doing the best that we can. And, I'm installer of the year for the title for this year, but there's guys out there that are way better than me, by a long shot. And I want to, just like Ken, I feel like we're reviving this competition. I'm excited to see where it goes next year. I'm more on fire for it than I have ever been. I'd love to just fly out there myself and just watch, because that's where I would be at that event. I wouldn't be looking at a lot of the vendors this time. Usually you go down to Alley and spend a day down there easy, and you can go right there and watch those guys compete, watch them just step the game up and really establish themselves in the industry. And show everybody where they stand at that point in their career. And that's what's great to me.
I think it's awesome that, Ken, you're gracious in defeat, and Alan, you're gracious in in winning, and neither one of you is. You got to meet at this competition for the first time, despite the fact we've all interacted on our Facebook groups, things like that. But it was never about winning. It was about pushing the industry forward the whole time for you guys, and I think that's what matters, and that's what makes this so amazing, and why I wanted to talk about it and get this out there and really kind of try and push this event forward and get knowledge out there. So do you guys know what's happening for next year already? Is there any talk of when entries are going to start or what we have to do to plan for it?
I've talked to or emailed back and forth, not back and forth, but once with one of the Informa ladies, and she stated that they was going to do the competition again and open entries in April, from the way I understand it. I'm not sure if it's going to get moved or postponed, but that's kind of the word on the street, I guess you could say.
Okay, so guys, get your projects ready, and hopefully you can start submitting them in April. I'm sure we will see information flying around on the interwebs about what's going on with that. So, what's your biggest takeaway from all of this?
I think that it comes down to, and especially my reasoning for being in the competition and participating was that I want to, we talk about this shortage of installers, and, we really need to start attracting younger guys to the trade. And, if I can, put myself out there and show that, it's cool to work with your hands, and I can attract these younger guys and girls into the trade, it kind of, we have this responsibility to set an example and show what's possible. And, I think that the more we put ourselves out there, the more that we make it a point to be vocal, not only within the industry, but in general about our trade, and, take pride in that we're on the right path to encourage others. And that's really, at the end of the day, that's what's most important to me, encouraging other people to show that they're, better than I am. Because I always tell everybody, I'm nothing special. I'm just too paranoid not to follow the directions. And, there's so much talent out there. And, if we can harness it and use it and, be positive with it, I think that the future is bright for, these younger installers coming up in the trade.
My main takeaway is just to be a good example to anybody who's seen it, or just to be that guy that, hey, he's made a living installing floors, and you can do it too. And bringing your skill level up, you have to continue your education, and you just be kind and courteous, and that's the things that I really want everybody to get from me. I'm not boasting or anything like that. I just really want the industry as a whole to move forward and just prosper. Really, that's kind of what I want to leave my mark or my legacy on. And the future generations, just like my son, he's 6 now. I really want him to see, hey, my dad went here and he done this, and he was, this good. I want to be 10 times better than that. That's what I strive for every day that I'm out there on the job, is to be better than my dad. And I really think that's what it's going to take in the industry to, make it appealing to a person to join a skilled trade like this.
I think that's great. And, I can tell that the industry is in good hands with both of you gentlemen. You're gonna leave your mark. You're gonna, whether it's nationally or even just locally in the areas where you work, you guys are gonna leave a mark and really push the bar and leave people striving for more in your area. And I think that's amazing. So why don't we go ahead and wrap this up? Ken, why don't you go ahead, give us your business name, your number again, and anywhere they can find you online, and then Alan will let you do the same thing.
Well, I'm Ken Ballin. I own Skyro Floors. I am in South Jersey by Long Beach Island. I install hardwood, vinyl plank, ceramic tile, number is 609-276-9299. Anybody can feel free to reach out at any time for any reason, even if it's just to answer questions or anything like that. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Skyro Floors, as well as on the CFI, Certified Floor Covering Installers Registry at cfiinstallers.org, and the CTI Registry at ceramictilefoundation.org.
I'm Alan Lewis, and this work with Eagle Interiors in Phoenix City, Alabama. The number is 298-0071, and you can find us on the internet at eagleinteriors.com.
All right. Thank you both, you gentlemen, for your time and being willing to talk about your experiences and where you want to see this industry go. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, man. That was an honor.
No, it's all mine, but thank you. I really do appreciate it. You guys have a good night.
Thanks.
You too.